Hi, it's me. Today we are going to talk about The Adventures of Pinocchio, which is a famous children's story. The Adventures of Pinocchio is an Italian children's novel written by Carlo Collodi and published in 1883. It was the first edition of the complete text of Collodi's original story. The story follows the misadventures of Pinocchio, a wooden puppet who is brought to life and embarks on a series of escapades while trying to become a real boy. Let's get started with summary. In a village in northern Italy lived a poor but honest woodcarver named Geppetto. He had an old cricket in his workshop that chirped loudly. One day, while carving a wooden puppet, Geppetto accidentally pricked his finger. And when the blood from his wound fell on the puppet, it came to life. The puppet was named Pinocchio, and he immediately ran away from the workshop because he didn't want to be a slave. He met a sly fox and a cat who tricked him into joining their gang of performers. Pinocchio told the fox and the cat that he was going to see the famous actor Mangiafoco and they would meet again later. But Pinocchio lied to Mangiafoco and said that he was coming from the Blue Moon Ball where he won a prize for being the most beautiful wooden doll. Pinocchio then ran away from the theater and got lost in the forest. There he met a little boy who told him that he could turn Pinocchio into a real child by throwing him into a nearby lake. However, the boy was actually a tricksy sprite who just wanted to play with Pinocchio. He pulled Pinocchio out of the lake and continued to torment him until Pinocchio promised to return if the sprite ever needed help. Then the sprite let Pinocchio go. The next day, Pinocchio met a group of boys who were playing football and he joined them. They kicked a ball towards a house and accidentally broke one of the windows. Pinocchio, being the smallest, was blamed and taken to the police station. An old woman who worked there took pity on him and gave him some bread to eat before sending him back to Geppetto's workshop. When Geppetto saw how dirty and hungry Pinocchio was, he hugged him tightly. Pinocchio promised never to leave the house again and Geppetto forgave him. But that night, Pinocchio couldn't resist the temptation to sneak out. He climbed out of his bedroom window and went to the village square. There he met two street lamps who invited him to dance with them. They led him to a nearby tavern where he drank some wine and ate some cheese. After getting drunk, he went to an inn where he found a group of children playing cards. They taught him how to gamble and he quickly lost all the money he had. Pinocchio then went to a shop to steal some food and was caught. He was tied up and put in a sack with some other stolen goods. The next morning, the sack was thrown into the sea. Pinocchio managed to free himself and swim to an island. On the island, he met a talking dog named Cipollaro, who told him that it was inhabited by children who were turned into donkeys by the evil fairy Fatatrunda. Pinocchio befriended Cipollaro and some other animals, and they helped him find food and shelter. One day, Pinocchio met a little girl who told him that she knew a way to break the spell on the donkey children. She took him to an old oak tree and instructed him to climb to the top. From there, Pinocchio could see the fairy's castle and he was told to shoot her with a ball made of flax. Pinocchio shot the ball at the fairy, but it bounced off her magic ring and hit the dog Cipollaro instead. This turned Cipollaro into a donkey, but Pinocchio refused to leave without him. So the little girl used a flower to turn Pinocchio into a donkey as well. Together, they set off to find a way to break the spell on both Pinocchio and Cipollaro. They encountered various adventures and met new characters along the way, such as the talking cat, the talking fox, and the owl. Finally, they reached the sea and swam towards a distant land where the fairy had gone. When they arrived, they found her in a cave guarded by three fierce-looking fish. Pinocchio, despite being scared, shot the fairy with a ball made of gold and turned her into a beautiful princess. With the fairy defeated, Pinocchio and Cipollaro regained their human forms and were welcomed into the princess's kingdom. The king and queen were so grateful to Pinocchio for defeating the fairy that they allowed him to make any wish he wanted. Pinocchio asked to become a real boy, which the king granted. He also asked for Geppetto to be transformed into a real human and for the donkey children to be turned back into real children. Finally, Pinocchio was given a crown and became the ruler of the island, living happily ever after. The Adventures of Pinocchio is a classic children's story that has been enjoyed by generations of readers. The story teaches valuable lessons about honesty, hard work, and the importance of following one's dreams. Pinocchio's journey from a wooden puppet to a real boy is a magical one that continues to captivate young readers today. Now let's talk about the characters. Pinocchio, a wooden puppet who is brought to life and embarks on a series of misadventures. He is curious, mischievous, and often gets into trouble due to his tendency to lie. Geppetto, the kind and honest woodcarver who creates Pinocchio. He is a poor man, but he has a big heart and loves Pinocchio like a real son. Jiminy Cricket, a wise and helpful cricket who serves as Pinocchio's conscience throughout his journey. He offers guidance and advice to Pinocchio, helping him to make the right choices. Figaro, a clever and witty cat who becomes Pinocchio's friend. He helps Pinocchio to navigate the dangers of the world and provides comic relief. Cleo, a loyal and brave dog who accompanies Pinocchio on his adventures. He is a talking animal who offers friendship and support to Pinocchio. The Blue Fairy, a magical creature who has the power to grant wishes. She helps Pinocchio to improve himself and achieve his goal of becoming a real boy. The Coachman, a deceptive and sinister character who tricks Pinocchio into working for him. He is responsible for turning children into donkeys. The Fox, a sly and cunning creature who tricks Pinocchio into joining his gang of performers. He is a symbol of dishonesty and deceit. The Cat, a lazy and gluttonous character who accompanies the Fox. He is another symbol of dishonesty and deceit. Lampwick, a mischievous and disobedient boy who leads the other children astray. He represents the negative influence of peer pressure. The School Teacher, a strict and harsh character who punishes Pinocchio for his bad behavior. He symbolizes the consequences of neglecting one's responsibilities. Manga Foco, the famous actor who puts on a show in the puppet theater. He is a talented performer who captures the attention of the audience. Now let's talk about the main themes. The main theme of this story is the importance of honesty and hard work. Pinocchio learns that lying and cheating will only get him into trouble, and that he needs to be honest and hardworking if he wants to become a real boy. Another important theme is the power of friendship and loyalty. Pinocchio meets many different characters throughout his journey, some of whom become his friends. He learns that having friends who support and help him makes his life much easier. The story also explores the dangers of dishonesty and deceit. Many of the characters, such as the fox and the cat, are dishonest and they try to trick Pinocchio into doing things their way. Pinocchio learns that dishonesty can lead to negative consequences and that it is important to be truthful. This was an amazing story, wasn't it? What did you think about it? Which character was your favorite? Tell me in the comments below. Also, if you like this kind of content, please subscribe so you won't miss any stories. See you next time.